My in-laws have a pair of Santee 120 sport kayaks that they wanted to add a Bixpy Jet motor to. The kayak is very curved on the top, and Bixpy recommended the Railblaza motor mount with Universal Transom. This solution ended up working out great. First off, I did a dry fit, getting the mounts spaced out to a good position on the kayak and finding a good position for the Railblaza. Importantly, I made sure that I had access to the underside where the mounts would go, as I'd later need to drill in through the mounts to the boat and have access for washers and bolts with a wrench. Then I used some bungee cords to hold it in place and fit the universal transom mount. At that point, I tried to find a good position for the battery and cable runs. Once I had a position I was happy with, I taped some plastic to the kayak where the mounts met the kayak. There was quite a large wedge-shaped space between the mount and the boat. I used JB water weld. I believe I used 2 tubes for each side, but I think I could have gotten away with 1.5. It's a 2-part that you knead together, and then you have up to 15 minutes to shape, so work quickly. I put painter's tape on the bottom of the mounts, turned the Railblaza upside down, and put the putty on the taped bottom of the mount. Then I turned the Railblaza over and put it in place on the boat where I had marked the position I wanted the mounts to go. I pressed down to shape the putty to the kayak and shaped the excess with my fingers. I have the plastic and tape to keep the water weld from sticking to the boat or the mount. Once it completely hardens, I drilled through the spacers into the boat. I took the mount off, peeled the plastic off, and now I had some custom spacers. Next, I used a hand power sander and shaped the spacer just to look a little nicer. Painted it black as well to match the mount. Then I put it all back in place. In my case, I was drilling into the storage compartment, so I made sure to use silicone caulking liberally on both sides of the spacer and on the bolts, just to try to seal it up. I used stainless steel hardware, washers, lock nuts, bolts to reduce rusting. There is a side-mounted stabilizer that I similarly drilled, caulked, and bolted into place. The Railblaza has stubs that stay permanently mounted to the kayak, and then you can lock the rail onto them when you want to use the motor. This setup has worked brilliantly and has made quite a speedy little boat. The Bixby we mounted to my mother-in-law's boat, and it has worked out fantastically. My father-in-law wanted to try using a regular trolling motor and lead-acid battery. That setup I've nicknamed the Widowmaker, but that's a story for another time. Happy sailing!